When it comes to court, you're the one that gets to keep the baby.
Not always.
Not always.
Okay, so again, 86% of the time, primary custody is awarded to women. 97% of alimony is paid by men to women.
The biggest black pill for me was recognizing that women generally don't believe that men, or children, especially men, need fathers. They'll claim they understand, but the medium is the message. Divorce, out of wedlock, birth, etc.
Shut up.
Well, time out. Lana, what do you think about that?
Of course, children need a father, but it's not the father. I mean, it's not the kids who choose for the father to leave. It's the dude who leaves. There's dudes that really be girls.
Yeah.
Having sex unprotected and then leave mom to just raise the kid by herself. That has nothing to do with marriage.
Okay.
That has absolutely nothing to do with marriage. And there's a lot of guys, unfortunately, you know, there's a lot of women that'll get pregnant and then a guy's like, yo, here's $500. Go get rid of it. And the girl still keeps it. That's her fault. But at the same time, you're still a dude having unprotected sex. That's on them. That's on you guys, mother. That is not on us. That wasn't on us.
Would you have rather raised your kid with her having a fatherly figure in the household? Would you have rather to raise a family with a father? No.
I
think that
we would
rather do it by yourself.
Because one opinion matters, and when you don't have a good father figure, or at least somebody who is responsible and that can show a good example, you don't want them around to put something in your kid's
So you just didn't want him in her life. Just him, but a man would have been different.
Have bad habits.
Why do you think everybody got fucking daddy issues?
Create bad habits from that.
Would you say that it's kind of hard to figure out whether the guy's a good guy or a bad guy when you're
every guy's a bad guy?
They're all shit.
Yeah.
They're all shit until you turn.
Men ain't. But to be fair, women aren't either. So there's a lot of women who are terrible mothers.
That's probably true.
There are a lot of women who are terrible
mothers. By the way, guys, unanimous, all of the guys chose the woman who was convicted of murder over a woman with a high body count.
Yeah.
Every single one of them.
I would have done the same thing.
I would have done the same.
Welcome to the manosphere.
So for me, I personally have like this little plan. I honestly think that it's like my backup plan, but I'm probably going to honestly try to go through IVF. I honestly don't want to deal with the whole have a child with somebody. I'd rather going to have it raised myself. I already have my mother's going to plan on helping me.
You're going to get a surrogate or are you going to carry the child?
No, I want to carry the child.
Okay.
But I want to probably go through IVF and just get like, a donor sort of situation, because I just think there's so many situations where people do get married and they get divorced. People, the fathers are horrible. They're, everybody splits and then it's horrible for the child.
Have you frozen your eggs yet?
I was going to say, that was my next question, but like, are you saying that because you think most guys that like you're just not finding the guy who is like father material, like a guy who would like want to go into the future with?
Plenty of people who are father materials, but I know too many situations where custody battles become nasty, and I don't ever want to put a child that I have personally in a situation where it's like, no, we're gonna get him this week and you're gonna get him that week, or oh, what's that? You can't watch him this weekend. I don't want to deal with that.
But if you can do it on your own,
do it on your own.
But I think it should be discussed before you have a child, because there is good men out there that are father material and that are ready to settle down and bring value to that parenting
There's a difference.
table.
This is according to Single Parent Success Foundation, a national nonprofit that encourages educational opportunities for single parents.
Yeah.
Selectively, electively or not.
100%.
63% of suicides nationwide are individuals from single parent families. 75% of children in chemical dependency hospitals are from single parent families. More than half of all youths incarcerated in the United States lived in a one-parent family as a child. 37% of families led by single mothers nationwide live in poverty. Comparatively, 6.8% of families with married parents live in poverty, according to the data from the Heritage Foundation here. Consider these single-parent household statistics here. 63% of youth suicides are single-parent. 90% of all homeless and runaway children. 85% of children that exhibited behavioral disorders. 80% of rapists, there goes our child, motivated with displaced anger. 71% of all high school dropouts. 75% of all adolescent patients in chemical abuse centers. 70% of juveniles in state-operated institutions, and 85% of all youths sitting in prison right now.
So here's my thing. I didn't say that I wouldn't necessarily try to find a male figure for my child in my life. I just never want to go through a crazy custody battle with my child.
Sure.
But is that selfish to you?
Yeah,
Men
but it's
don't
my
have to give
child.
birth, though. I mean, think about that. You carried that child for 9 months. You had to go through giving birth. Like,
But that's
how
what you
can
get
they,
to
like,
keep the
claim,
baby when
like,
it comes to
how
court.
can they
When it
claim
comes to court,
ownership?
you're the one that gets to keep the baby.
Not always.
Not always.
Okay,
The
so
majority.
again, 86% of the time, primary custody is awarded to
It's
women.
always to the women.
97% of alimony is paid by men to women. Because those are fucking terrifying numbers, aren't they?
I
They're
agree.
terrifying.
Which is why
Now,
I'm
Let me also clarify one other thing here. This is single mother households
Yeah.
because 42% of children today are born out of wedlock in the United States. That's not even being married in the first place. That's number one. Number two is we always talk about fatherlessness or we talk about single parent households rather than saying the very fact that it is single mothers who, because women by and large, 86% of the time have at least primary custody, if not like of the joint custody, or they get sole custody awarded to
But
them
also,
right now.
the men leave the women. Like, let's talk about that fact.
Okay, so-
Like,
so
How many
you
of
can-
those?
you can get
How
10
many of
women
those?
pregnant
How many of
and
those
not have
men
to father
want to be
anybody.
involved? Like the other thing is, I think there's this miscommunication, or this misidea that that men are just hit it and forget it, right? Ejaculate and evacuate.
Imagine
and they're
getting
out.
pregnant by a man. You get pregnant, and in your mind, you're like, I don't want to kill this being inside of me.
Yeah.
But they don't want that child.
yeah.
Yeah.
So they leave. But you're left with the kids.
But
So
what is
do you think
what
that
is the
doesn't
more
account for
what?
the statistic?
No, it's not that I don't. Well, yeah, I'm sure it
Okay.
accounts for
Higher
part of that
because
that
we
statistics.
hold
But
the
what I'm saying,
child.
I understand that. But the other problem is that when the sperm leaves a man's body, he is 100% powerless to have any control over that. If you get an abortion, he has no say in it. If you
That's
don't,
true.
if you want 18 years of child support, he has no say in that whatsoever. So when we get down to the abortion, topic, I've been on this several times, is that if women want men to be involved in this conversation, then we have to have a seat at the table. Just because we don't have a uterus doesn't mean that we won't be paying for that child or we won't be held
But it's
accountable.
not your
Whether-
body, though.
I
That's the
understand that, but it
problem.
is also our
it is,
resources
though.
that has to go to supporting that child as well.
Then he should not have
So-
But
come in
he
her.
came in
That's
her.
the part.
I understand that,
still
but
on
Like, he came
whenever
in
we,
her.
I got it, but
Well,
when,
not
when
using
we,
protection.
but
The
after
woman
what I'm
is
talking about,
growing in her body.
it is your choice
But it's
to
in
have
her
sex
body,
with him.
not
It is
his.
your choice to have the baby as well. It is not his choice. It is never his choice. In fact,
it shouldn't be because that's not your body.
very vocal
Well,
feminists say
read it.
you have no seat at the table. You like these old white men shouldn't be talking about this because they don't have a uterus.
Rita, let me ask you something. Who do you think the gatekeepers of sex are? Are they men?
Gatekeepers.
The gatekeepers of sex are. Do you think it's mostly men or mostly women? Do you think in your life there have been more men that wanted to have sex with you and you didn't want to have sex with them? Or the other way around?
Of course.
So the gatekeepers of sex would be which gender?
Women.
Women.
Okay, do you understand where this might be an
So
issue?
yes, you have unprotected sex.
Right.
And you develop a child. Okay.
Yeah.
But at the bottom line, that's your body giving birth.
No, we're not
So
we're not
how can
debating
you
that
tell
for sure.
somebody
Like
what to
nobody
do with their
here
body?
now maybe in the chat, but
yeah.
nobody here is just saying we need to pass laws so that we can just abort these women or abort these fetuses while we're just men and the women are pregnant.
Like,
No one's saying that.
It sucks
We're-
that
we're
men
just
don't
pointing
really
we're
have
pointing
a
that out.
say whether you keep the child
okay.
or not.
It's not about whether or not
I
it
get
sucks. It's that
But
is the way the world is.
It is
right?
because
It's after
that's
the
your
fact.
body. That's not like that's the woman's body,
Correct.
not the man's body. So like you can't force
But
someone
what about the baby's
to
body?
go through. Well, that's the fucking issue, right?
That's what I'm saying.
Abortion
And then,
or
if
not
the-
abortion, like
if the baby does count and the baby is considered a body, isn't that considered the man's body as well? Because that's his man's baby. You're just holding it. But that's the man's body
It's
inside your body.
Technically, it's 23 alleles from the man.
I mean,
Technically, that's his body inside
the
your body.
mechanics
You're
of
just
it is
holding
this,
it.
and I understand
Sperm
what
that
you're saying because we
fertilizes
always
your
get
egg.
into this conversation where it's like, okay, yes, it takes two people to have a child. Got it, understood. What I'm saying is, after the fact, it becomes the choice of the mother whether or not the child gets born
Yeah.
or it does not. And until
Because it's
men
their
have a
body.
seat at the until men can say just what you're saying, just a second here, is that it's also half of his genetics there as well. But he is, if a woman has the right to choose whether or not she's going to have the child, why does the man not have the right to say, you know what, I don't want to
Exactly.
support this child?
Yeah.
yeah, that makes sense.
And you can easily just
Now,
take him to court.
that is not an endorsement of that. I'm just presenting
Yeah,
a
that
fact.
makes
that
sense.
It's funny. It's funny. We're coming to an agreement over
Yeah.
an argument that people commit murder over and have committed
Okay.
murder over. And I'm not talking about abortion.
The baby-
I'm,
you
no,
are the
I'm literally talking about protests on the White House lawn. People like at the Capitol, like
Yeah.
people wanting to kill each other
I
over this
think-
idea. Let's go, Nick Cannon. Let's go. You guys
He's
know
a
Nick, you guys know
polygamist.
that Nick Cannon, after 10 kids, that he doesn't have to pay any more child
That's
support.
crazy. I've heard that
Do you know
rule,
that
yeah.
he does it after 10? It's the same thing in Texas. I think it's like 6 or 7 kids. You don't pay any more child support. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, he's smart.
Yeah.
So like what you were saying, like
But
what
is
if
it
you
with the
have
same baby mama?
Hell no.
Yeah,
he's
you
got
don't know
10
Nick
different
Cannon?
baby
Yeah, of
mamas.
course. No, I'm
Nick
saying.
Cannon has
different
kids
baby
with 10
mamas.
different women now.
That's what I'm saying. But is it only if you have 7 kids, you just automatically don't have to pay child support?
Yes. Yeah, the state, because it's becoming more expensive for the state to prosecute you than it is to get the child support payment. So
crazy.
at that point, they just stop.
It's insane.
Yeah.
Oh my God! So that's what
he's
Mexicans
smart.
do.
That is
Yes.
Yeah.
There we
That
go.
was
That's what Mexicans do.
Let me
They do that
So-
for child support. If we have
Alright.
5 kids, bro, that's a big ass.
She was
shit.
trying to ask you something. Hold on.
okay, hang on one second here. So
If
This is-
you want to keep the child,
Okay.
keep the child. But if the man doesn't want to keep the child, then they shouldn't have to pay.
It's interesting. There's a lot
Because
of men.
that's entrapment.
There's a lot of
That's
there's a lot of
Yeah.
men who
Because a
would.
lot of girls get pregnant.
There's
just
a lot
so
of
the
there's a lot of guys in the chat who are
get the
going to
money.
agree
And
with
it's like,
that.
girl,
Yes.
there's so many other ways to make
Definitely
money than having a fucking baby. Come on. What the?
Because they even call that securing the bag.
Like,
Brittany
hold
Renner.
on.
What you just said, that is
That is
you didn't know who Brittany
Brittany
Renner
Renner.
is? That's what
She
Brittany
was
Renner is.
the maker of secure the bag. Because if you have sex with a
Dumb.
rookie athlete, you
Sorry,
get
Brittany
pregnant
Renner, I
by
don't know
him. Now you
all
have
right,
you have
Glenn
to check.
Lawrence, where's the rest of those super chats?
Next.
Bring it up. Moving right along.